W men disten cs hia feframo in ignor's yo gestido size. See, inspired by Lisa Harper's Truth, telling style ladies, lean in for a second. I'm about to tell you something that might rattle your soul in the best way. When a man distances himself from you, when he suddenly becomes a ghost in a place where his presence once felt like home, when his voice becomes a whisper and eventually silence, listen to me carefully. Do not run, do not beg, and absolutely do not break. Because distance isn't always a curse. Sometimes it's divine intervention wearing the mask of heartbreak. You see, when someone pulls away, God might be pulling you back into yourself, back into the girl who forgot she had dreams before she had a man, back into the woman who lost her voice while trying to keep someone who never deserved her echo. When he ignores you, I don't want you to text him harder, call him faster, or cry louder. I want you to pause, breathe, square your shoulders, and remember who you are. You are not a backup plan. You are not a maybe. You are not someone to be picked and put down based on convenience. No. You are the daughter of the Most High, stitched together with intention and crowned with worth. So what should you do? You get quiet, but not bitter. You detach, but not in revenge. You rise, but not in pride. You do this with grace, girl. You take the space he gave you and you build a garden there. You plant peace. You water it with patience. You let God do the pruning, not your insecurities. And hear me clearly, the man who was meant to walk with you won't run from you. The one who's aligned with your purpose won't ignore your presence. So when he disappears, don't chase, choose. Choose yourself. Choose your healing. Choose your joy. Because when you stop waiting by the door of someone else's indecision, you step into the hallway of God's clarity. You are not forgotten. You are being fortified. Now stand up, woman of worth. Dust off the silence he left behind and walk boldly. Because this distance, it's just God clearing your view for something far greater than confusion could ever explain. There's a unique kind of H that settles in your chest when someone who once held you close suddenly grows distant. The silence is loud. The unanswered texts sting. The shift in energy becomes impossible to ignore. And the mind does what it's trained to do. It searches for blame. It digs through every interaction, every word spoken, every moment shared, trying to figure out what went wrong, what you did wrong. But here's the truth that can unchain you from that cycle of self-doubt when a man pulls away. It's not always about you. In fact, many times, it has nothing to do with your worth, your value, or your lovability. Sometimes that distance is divine. It's not abandonment, it's alignment. It's not rejection, it's redirection. And sometimes, God will allow a man to walk out just so you can finally walk into something bigger than what you were settling for. Let's be honest. Love, when it's uncertain, can make even the strongest woman question her sense of self. You start replaying conversations. You think, maybe I was too much. Maybe I wasn't enough. Maybe if I said this differently, looked this way, did this or didn't do that. But none of that matters when someone's spirit is drifting away. Because this isn't about performance, it's about purpose. And sometimes purpose demands disconnection. God, in His sovereignty, will allow people to exit your life not to hurt you, but to heal you, to cleanse your space, to hush the noise so you can hear Him clearly again. That man may have been your comfort zone, but comfort isn't always where growth happens. Sometimes the very thing we're begging God to fix is the very thing He's trying to free us from. Yes, it hurts when someone pulls away, but pain can be a holy signal. Distance can be a divine detour. And when the people you thought would walk with you start walking away from you, don't panic. Pause. Step back. Don't chase them. Don't beg for their attention. Instead, ask God, what are you trying to show me in this silence? You see, when someone leaves, they create a vacuum, a space. And God often uses that space to expand your awareness. Without the distraction, you begin to see the red flags more clearly. You realize how much you were compromising. You remember the dreams you shelved, the joy you diluted, the strength you suppressed. And just like that, what looked like a heartbreak becomes a wake-up call. Because not every man who holds your hand is meant to hold your future. Not every good moment makes a good match. Sometimes God allows you to taste a connection just long enough to teach you what you don't need, so you can begin to desire what you do. And maybe the distance is exactly what was needed to protect your peace. You were starting to lose sleep. You were living in confusion, walking on eggshells, trading your boundaries for the hope of being loved. That is not love, that's emotional survival. And you were never called to survive in your relationships. You were called to thrive. So when He pulls away, don't let your identity go with Him. Don't sit there stuck on what He thinks or why He changed or where you stand. Instead, anchor yourself in truth. You are still worthy. You are still chosen. You are still enough. Let His silence push you into God's presence. Let the unanswered questions drive you deeper into prayer. Let the quiet teach you how to listen to yourself again, to your spirit, your wisdom, your discernment, because that man may have closed the door, but maybe, just maybe, God is opening you. You're not losing a man. You're gaining clarity, and clarity is priceless. So dry your eyes, beloved. Don't confuse distance with disrespect, and don't take detours personally. Some roads don't lead to your destiny because they were never meant to. Let them go with grace. And thank God, not just for who left, but for what it's making room for. There's something deep inside a woman that craves to be seen. Not just looked at, not just noticed, but seen. Truly seen, to be understood, cherished, validated. And there's nothing wrong with that desire. It was wired into you by the Creator Himself. But what becomes dangerous is when we start chasing that validation from someone who has already shown us they don't recognize our value. That's where the heartbreak begins. Not because we weren't worthy, but because we gave someone the power to confirm something that was never up for debate. Let me say this loud for the soul sitting in silence tonight. You don't chase validation where value has already been placed on you. You were born valuable, not because of your relationship status, not because of how someone treats you, not because someone returns your calls or texts or compliments your beauty. Your value is not determined by human eyes. It was declared by a divine voice long before you ever met Him. That means your worth is fixed, unshaken, untouched by opinions, moods, or the silence of someone who's too emotionally bankrupt to appreciate your richness. If a man can't see your value, it's not your job to shrink to fit his blurry vision. It's not your responsibility to convince someone of your worth when you were already fearfully and wonderfully made. If he's blind to your brilliance, don't dim yourself hoping the light will finally catch his attention. Because truthfully, if he couldn't see it when you were standing right there in front of him, he doesn't deserve to witness what you're about to become. You've got to stop assigning your confidence to someone else's inability to value you. Stop internalizing rejection as proof that something's wrong with you. Sometimes people reject what they don't understand, what intimidates them, or what reminds them of what they're not ready for. Sometimes your light is too bright for people who are still hiding in shadows. Sometimes your strength unsettles men who confuse control with love. So they ignore you. They pull back. They stay silent, hoping you'll question yourself. Don't fall for it. Don't start spiraling. Don't start scrolling through old messages trying to decode where it all shifted. Don't rehearse your flaws or water down your fire. That's exactly what the enemy wants, to use one man's absence to make you doubt the divine presence that lives in you. But you're not that woman anymore. You're not going back to begging for attention like love is some favor you have to earn. No, you've got to remind yourself who you are. You are the answered prayer someone else is still believing for. You are the healing someone else will thank God for one day. You are not desperate, you are developing. And the right man will not require you to prove your value. He will recognize it. He'll meet you where you are, not make you chase him while you're bleeding emotionally just to keep his interest. There's something freeing, wholly even, about letting go of the need to be seen by someone who's incapable of seeing you clearly. That's not rejection. That's God shielding you. That's protection in disguise. Because if someone can overlook the kind of love you're capable of giving, if they can be blind to the depth of your loyalty, the softness of your soul, the fire in your heart, then sweetheart, they're not rejecting you, they're forfeiting favor. You've got to believe this: you are not hard to love. You are not too much. You are not intimidating. You are divinely crafted, and no one's inability to embrace that changes its truth. So walk on. Don't linger at closed doors. Don't lower your voice so someone else feels big enough to handle you. Don't chase after someone who can't handle your glory. Let them go. Not with bitterness, but with blessing. Let them walk away while you walk into wholeness. The one who's meant for you will not make you question if you're enough. He will see you, hear you, honor you, and never let you wonder. Until then, hold your head high. Dry your tears. And remember, their blindness doesn't cancel your brilliance. You were valuable before they knew your name, and you'll still be valuable long after they forget it. Sometimes the temptation to respond is immediate. When someone pulls away from you, acts cold, distant, or just vanishes like a chapter torn from your story, your first instinct might be to react, to call, to text, to demand answers. You want to be understood, to fix what feels broken, to regain your sense of balance. But here's the holy truth. Not every emotional storm needs your participation. The best response in moments of uncertainty or emotional abandonment is not reaction, it's elevation. Because reacting comes from the flesh, from fear, from the panic of not being in control. It's that inner voice screaming, "What did I do wrong?" Or, "How do I make him see my worth?" Elevation is spirit-led. It pauses. It steps back. It sees the bigger picture and remembers God, is not confused by what confuses you. When you choose elevation over reaction, you're not being passive, you're being powerful. You're choosing not to dance with chaos. You're choosing not to let your emotions be puppeteered by someone else's inconsistency. You're not lowering yourself to match the mess. You're rising to protect your peace. So what does that look like? It means you disengage emotionally. Not to numb yourself or pretend you don't care, but to realign. You say, I will not let this situation dictate how I see myself or how I move forward. You take back the emotional access you once gave away so freely. You create boundaries, not as punishment, but as protection. Because if someone's presence causes you confusion, exhaustion, and anxiety, that is not love. And you don't need to earn clarity in a space where God never called you to suffer. Instead of investing all your energy into decoding his silence or analyzing mixed signals, you anchor spiritually. You go to your knees. You open the word. You pray not for the relationship to return, but for your spirit to be strengthened. You ask God, what are you teaching me in this? Because God never wastes pain. He uses it. He shapes you through it. And when you anchor into him, you begin to see the silence differently. You no longer see it as punishment. You see it as preparation. This is where strength is birthed. Not in begging for closure. Not in explaining your heart to someone who stopped listening, but in surrendering the weight you were never meant to carry. Let heaven handle the heavy. You're not built to carry burdens that belong to God. So stop trying to carry the relationship, the explanation, the what ifs. Lay it down. You're not weak for wanting love, but you become weary when you fight battles that were never assigned to you. When you step out of alignment trying to fix someone else's brokenness, you end up breaking yourself. But when you step back, stand firm and smile. Yes, smile. You are choosing faith over fear. You are saying, I may not understand this now, but I trust the one who does. Because that smile, that peace, that calm, it's not fake, it's fruit. The fruit of self-control, the fruit of trust, the fruit of wisdom that comes from knowing who you are and whose you are. You don't have to clap back. You don't have to make dramatic exits. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Silence can be sacred. Distance can be healing. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stay still and let God fight for you. When you choose elevation, you become untouchable in the spiritual realm. The enemy can't manipulate a woman who knows how to retreat into God's presence. He can't shake a soul that stands firm in truth and refuses to chase after what is clearly walking away. So stand tall, not bitter, but better, not angry, but anchored, not desperate, but discerning. And when the time is right, when your heart has healed and your spirit has matured, you'll look back and thank God for the silence, for the unanswered text, for the door that closed, because it was never rejection, it was redirection. So rise, daughter of glory, wipe your tears, let him go, and let God work. Because what's ahead of you is greater than what you're grieving. And the best response, it's not loud, it's not desperate, it's divine. Let heaven handle the heavy.